Hello everyone, my name is Odatsu and today I'll be making a tier list prediction for the future. Maybe 1 or 2 months I'll be making another video of this and see how right or wrong I am about the future meta. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first character I'll be placing is All Might. He's a pretty consistent character. He does have like pretty good abilities and movement and damage and all that. Being the number one hero goes well for him. But I haven't still seen that many top tier players use him that much. Maybe it's because the game is so new and he's like the last character you can lock for free. So I'll be placing him in strong tier, A tier, because I believe in the future there will be other characters that will outshine him, you know. But still, he's a pretty strong character. If you want to use him, then he's really nice to try. Second character is the MC himself, Isuku Midoriya, or Deku, what you want to call him. He's also pretty consistent. His abilities are pretty nice. He has movement, good damage, good range, and all that. So he will also be going into A tier, uh, in front of his teacher because he's a little bit better with the whip because you can grab enemies and finish them off pretty quick, and his damage is a little better and range and all that. So he goes into the top of A tier for now. Now for the third character I'll be placing is Momo Jajirosu. She's a pretty I'm kidding. Uh, he goes into S plus tier. If you played the game, Bakugo is a pretty insane character right now. He's super broken, and I believe in the future he may get nerfed and move like one tier down. But his abilities right now are pretty insane. He has movement with his special action. His main attack has good range, good damage. It passes through walls. He has grenades that do AoE area damage, and also has like a spin attack that almost like grab enemies and does massive amounts of damage when it explodes in the end. So he goes into S tier because he's super pretty broken right now, and the movement, jeez. Now for the next character, I got Mount Lady over here. She's a pretty good character. Her abilities are pretty nice. She does have some movement, and her giant form is pretty good for the end game. If you want to transform in the middle of the chaos and stomp people, then she will be doing pretty great for you. And she goes, I believe, into S tier right now because in the future some people will learn her, but she has like potential to go into broken, but the counterplay is there. You can just dodge her stomps and shots with your movement, and try to stay hidden from her when she goes into giant form and shoot her from afar. And with the amount of projectile characters in the game, she will be taking a lot of damage. And also her actual weakness is cities. So going to cities with Mount Lady and going to giant form will be pretty weird for you. Her weakness, from series. Now the next character is Momo Yajirozu, creative. She is pretty insane right now. She reminds me of Orisa from Overwatch with her shield charge ability. So I believe she goes same as Orisa. She goes into broken tier right now because that shield dash, you don't really got any chance right now to play against it. Maybe in the future some people will figure out how to play against her. I believe if she broke her guard with melee in when she's about to place a shield, it cancels it, and that way it has some counterplay potential. But right now her shield dash is pretty OP. Her other two abilities, the cannon is pretty good for chaos and team battles, and also her sweep attack is good and broken when you don't have guard points and you are taking hits. You don't really have a chance against her with the sweep attack and no guard. Now for the next character, I have Ibarra from class B. She's a pretty cool character. I believe her abilities are pretty nice. Uh, she has a pretty nice main attack to, shoot at people from distance. But I believe she still has something missing, and that is movement. And movement in this game is pretty nice. And also that fact that the cage it's used better if you have a team and you can communicate with them. But still, she can revive teammates, and that is pretty good for her. So I believe she goes into A tier. Maybe in a team environment she goes a little bit higher, and if you can, coordinate with each other. But right now she goes into the top of A tier. Now for the Nets character, I'll be placing Cementos, or you know, the guy with the structures. He's pretty good. He's a pretty fun and creative character to use. So if you call yourself a pretty creative person, then you'll be having fun with Cementos in the city and environments and all that. He doesn't have movement, but he does have vertical movement, because if you place down, his A attack in the floor and you rise up, you can use it also for teammates to use like an elevator, and get the high ground in some places. And his damage is pretty consistent if you hit it, and it's pretty annoying to play against him because he knocks you in the air. But still, he's a pretty cool character. He also has his revive ability. It's a little bit better than Ibarra. That's why I place him in S tier, because his revive is like a tiny house, 4 walls, and still you can place a rooftop and protect your teammates that you revive, or you can before reviving them, you can place a attack in the ground and then revive them, and that way they are in a high ground position and they are a little better protected. It has worked before. My friend uses Mentos and he did it, and it's a pretty smart move to use with him. My friend is pretty creative, so he's been playing a lot of Cementos, and it's pretty nice having a Cementos in your team. Now for the Nets character, I believe there isn't many questions. He goes into broken tier. He has a lot of abilities. Having two quirks go good for him, because his main attack is has insane range. I think it's better than Bakugo Kachan, and damage is pretty consistent. At level 9, he will be shredding people with only his main attack. He has horizontal movement, not really vertical. That's when Kachan gets the upper hand, and also because his wall, like his ice wall, can protect him, but still Kachan can, you know, pierce through his wall and damage him. And some other characters like Shiraki can do that too. And I believe if you master him in a couple of months, you can stand a chance more or less against Kachan, but right now he has like an upper hand. Now for the Nets character, I have Ida right here, the class rep. I hate Ida players, but I'm not biased, right? He's still a pretty good character. I believe he goes into probably S tier for when you learn how to use him, or maybe broken tier for like top players, using him and just bullying the average players. But right now, I believe he goes into A tier. In the future, I think he will go into S tier, like the bottom of S tier. Because still, if you dodge and learn how to play against him, then that way you can stand a little bit of chance against Ida. And projectiles, is a good counter. And, just being smart against Ida, smarter than Ida, it's a great hard thing to do against good characters, or against, good players. But there's still a chance to counter him. So I believe I place him in the top of A tier right now. So for the next character, I have Kirishima, the Red Riot hero. He's a pretty cool, character in the series. I love him, but I believe he doesn't have, range like at all, and his movement is pretty basic, but still pretty good. And Anshin stuck in damage. Damage is insane at level 9. His abilities do like 200 damage, except for his, A ability. You don't really gotta use it that much, only for like movement and for just sheep damage. While his other two abilities, the stomp is insane damage, and his red counter, I don't know how you call it, but it's insane also. And he will be doing pretty good with all around, like in team environments or average players. He's a pretty good character if you learn how to use it. So eventually he will rise up to S tier. Also forgot to mention, Ida does have a ability that lets him revive teammates, so that's good for him. Now for the next character I have Kaminari. I believe he is pretty good, but eventually people, because right now I know more or less how to dodge his abilities, and if you dodge them, then he only has like one of them, and then other than that he will be having like what his main A attack and like his special action, and even then the cooldowns for him are pretty long. At low levels or mid levels, haven't played him much and haven't seen that many good Kirishima players. I don't really know that much about him, but I predict he will be going in top of All Might. I think maybe in the bottom of A tier. He's pretty weird right now for me. Haven't seen that many Kirishima players, but the prediction goes into the bottom of A. Now for one of my main characters in the game, Shigaraki, the Master of Destruction himself, the main villain. I really like him in the game and in the series too. So I believe he goes into S tier. Nah, I'm not biased. I try not to be biased. For the average player, he'll be going to like B tier. But if you know how to play him and master him, I believe you'll be, stomping on some people, especially on the late game when he gets all his 9 abilities, level 9 abilities, sorry. So is he better than Lida? I think so. So he goes into S tier. Maybe he is better than Cementos and Mount Lady, because is with his special ability he can just destroy Cementos creations and also Todoroki's wall. And all around he does a lot of damage, even though he doesn't really have that much movement. He can still be pretty like agile, like short movement type of attacks. If you master him, of course, because if you jump and shoot, he does like a backflip, and also his ground decay thing, the circular one, the B attack, does like a mini hop, and also his last ability, the grab, is pretty good and fast, and it's a pretty good character. I believe he goes into S tier, but let me know what you think actually. Now for Kendo. Kendo is the main character for one of my friends. He and I played together, and it's a insane combination having Kendo and a character that doesn't have movement. So Kendo, if you are in a team with a Mount Lady, a Shigaraki, a Kirishima, and you use your special ability to grab them and throw them into the action, and they do like insane damage, when they get in, and cover for their weakness. Their weakness is movement, and she does super well in a team environment if you coordinate each other with each other. You know, so I believe in the future, you know, she goes into like around the mid of A tier. Right now, she goes into B tier because people are still like trying to figure out the meta. But I believe in the future she goes into the A tier easily because you can combine her with non-movement characters and use her abilities to your advantage. Also, her other abilities aren't that bad. The shield is good for team environments. Also, her A attack is not that great because the range is not that good, but she still does damage. And the clap attack is pretty fun to use and does a lot of damage. So she goes into the mid of A tier. Now for my other main, it is Davi. So hear me out, Davi. I made a tutorial about him, and he does solve a lot of problems with the game. That being like projectile characters like Bakugo, Todoroki, and other characters that use projectiles with his shield. He can counter that, also protect his teammates, so he can, kinda get better positioning, or let his teammates like pop a med, or when he's caught in the open, he also does like the shield ring of fire, and in the late game, the ring of fire gets pretty big and does a lot of damage. So I believe he goes into the top of S tier right now. There's still some characters that are, still being placed. But hear me out. He does fit a lot of things wrong with the game. Projectiles and also his special ability, you know, uh, is good for thirsty players. So if you use it, right, and you got a Cementos on your team, or like a Nibara, or any other character that can revive you from afar, then it will be good to for some team compositions. And on your own, you'll probably be like, in the bottom of S. But in the future, I believe he goes into S tier on the top right now. For Froppy, the frog hero, she's a fun character. I don't really like her kit that much, but I've seen some insane Froppy players, and they are pretty good at the game. And I know eventually she will be reigning on ranked and team environments because of her way of movement, her damage, her way to sneak behind and finish enemies, and her special action to revive teammates. So I believe she goes in on front Davi because she does win against Davi. She can escape from him, escape. She has insane movement and does have better abilities than if you know how to play her, right? If you don't know, then she goes into struggle. But in the future, people will know how to play her, and she will go into S tier. Now for Toga. Toga, she is also pretty insane. I think she goes into like S plus tier, but not really, better than all these characters. I believe she goes into bottom of broken tier because if you find these characters, you can transform into them. But the chances are high, but you still gotta, catch them and transform into them. But I believe she goes here. Yeah. So if you transform into a character like Cementos and use his special action to revive a teammate, or a character like Froppy to revive a teammate in emergencies, then that's a way to work in solo and in team environments. And if you find like a Kachan, Shoto, or any broken character, then you can transform into them as well. Don't really pass them because her other default kit isn't that great. It doesn't pass these two. But overall, she is pretty insane right now. And in the future, of course, she will be even more insane when people learn how to use all the characters. Now for Ochako. Listen, she isn't for me, right? I will place her in hell, but I haven't seen that many like good uh, Ochako players, and I don't really like her kit. It's pretty weird. It does, a little good when there's people around, I guess. But even then, there's other characters that do a little better than her. And in the future, she may go into like B or A tier. But right now, I think she goes into struggle tier because her kit isn't that great. She does have movement and some support capabilities to float her teammates, but sometimes it doesn't really match up. Or we still haven't find maybe go tier. We still haven't find like a playstyle for her, But when the community does, then she goes into like B tier or something. Now for the last character, Mr. Compress, the last villain, the last Compress. I believe he goes into he doesn't go in hell. Like, hear me out. He still got pretty consistent damage with his main attack. His shield does reflect damage against broken characters, and he also has the Kendo capability to grab his teammates, and like throw them into the action. Characters like Kirishima, Shigaraki, and Mod Lady. But even then, I believe Kendo is a little better because she does have her shield, and the damage from Kendo may be a little better with the clap. So for that, I place him in the top of B tier. Oshako right now, she isn't that great for me, so I'll be placing her there. Other than that, that will be everything for the tier list. Like, let me know what you think. If maybe like you think Ida should go higher. Listen, I may be a little biased because I hate Lida players because I play Dabi, and Dabi struggles a lot against Ida, or I still haven't figured out how to play against him and Froppy. So let me know in the comments what you think about the tier list. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in 1 or 2 months with another video of the same tier list. And other than that, subscribe if you want to see more, and bye bye.